Now we'll continue the walking tour here. These are the athletic fields down the street from where I live, where I grew up as a kid. Of course, they weren't athletic fields back then. Well, part of the time when I was a kid, but most of this land when I was a child was an open field that part of it was marsh. The marsh crept across probably about halfway across here, and the rest was a bramble and a little path wove through the middle. There were trees. There were actually some fruit trees, pear and a peach tree and a couple of apple trees. And up there on that hill at the end, place I used to hang out as a kid, of course, too, that hill was probably twice, maybe even 3 times as tall. What they did was they went and carved away the whole top of it and the back of it down to the street below. And, well, it's just changed. Everything's changed. And eventually they leveled all this off and filled it in. That which used to be marsh became part of a football field back when I was in my later teens. The high school used to actually play some games here. It was always soggy, but you know, they played on it nonetheless. Now they use it mostly for soccer, and that's about it. You know, they move the goals around because it's still a little bit damp in here. Walk across. The grass gets carved up pretty quickly, and then they stop the kids from playing. They move the goals to the other end. They let them play there for a while, and then they rotate it just to. It's hard to keep the grass growing here. It's so wet underneath still. And that, believe it or not, is more marshland. Still marsh, but it's nowhere. It's just different. Everything's so different. It's hard to explain how the area has evolved. Well, they just, you know, they didn't take care of anything. And why would they take care of marsh? Marsh was always treated like a, you know, like a sewer in this town. Let the storm sewers drain into it, all the oil off the roads and everything else. So I guess like in every other town, to a certain degree, but it was treated as a handicap to have more than anything else. And really, they had no idea what its real function was. You know, as a kid, I was big into the wildlife and trapping and conservation, and understood, you know, what marshland was supposed to do, I guess. Unlike most of the... Oh, now it's getting soggy again. I gotta get out of here before my new sneakers are destroyed. Ay, ay, ay. I gotta find a better place to walk across here. It's wetter than I thought. It hasn't rained in a few days now. We had like almost 2 weeks of solid off and on rain, and I guess it still hasn't leached through to the muck underneath. Yeah. But anyway, I wanted to take you on this walk across here because there's the old mill pond into which all this marshland drains. And of course, that's what's supposed to keep the pond clean, is the marsh. It filters out all the, you know, nasty toxic stuff supposedly, and rejuvenates the water. And as a result, we've got basically a dead pond. Or, well, it's better than it was maybe 8 years ago, but not much. They went and they dredged it out about 8 years ago, dragged all the silt out, and what do they do with it? All that toxic stuff, all the heavy metals, they dumped it here, and they planted grass on top of it so that all the kids can come down with cancer in the future. Yeah, sorry, it's kind of a jaded way to look at it, but that's the way things happen around this area. They go half-assed because they have ideas, but they don't have money, and they always hire the wrong guys. It's the same old, you know, who do you know thing that goes on in every town in small town USA, I guess. And they've been doing something with this other little bridge over here there's 2 bridges on the pond, one here and then one up by the falls. And this which I thought was like a dredge, but apparently they're using it as a crane. Been sitting here for about a month and a half now. God knows why. Looks like they took the old bridge off. Maybe they're rebuilding one, or maybe they finally did rebuild it. I don't know. Oh, lovely. No, they've got it blocked off by the looks of it. Boy, what do we got going here? Let me check it out. Don't bridge? What the heck is that supposed to? Let me zoom in. See if the zoom. I gotta get used to this camera. I don't know if you can see that. I can see it on the screen, but I can't really make out that I don't have my glasses on. I'll get closer. Oh, don't cross. Bridge out. No kidding, huh? Oh, actually rebuilding something. Of course, it'll take another month before they open it back up again. Let's take a closer look. Why not? Oh, lovely. I don't know what was wrong with the last one, to tell you the truth. Wow, this one, they got engineered beams. Wow, curved engineered beams. I guess the steel girders they had wasn't good enough before, even though it seemed pretty rock solid to me. Yeah, might as well spend our tax money that nobody could afford to pay. I got a little Bobcat sitting here for about a month and a half. Wonder what that's costing the town. I know I rent them. They're what, a couple $100 a day. So it's just town money. Ducks seem to be enjoying it though. And there's the swimming pool. Oops. Let's see. Zoom? No, I have it on Zoom. Yeah. But anyway, that's the swimming pool. We used to hang out as kids. Well, what hangout time I had. I didn't have a lot, but when I did get a chance to go swimming, that's where we would go officially. Chlorinated water officially kind of stuff. Of course, we did a lot of skinny dipping, but we won't tell anybody about that, including in this pool actually. I haven't got to those stories, but let's just say that me and the boys used to go in there at about 11 o'clock at night. I know we're a bunch of wild kids. Always getting into trouble. And at 11 o'clock at night, all the adults are supposed to be asleep, except for the cops, of course. So the whole game was to avoid the cops, and I don't know why we couldn't do that with bathing suits on, but I guess it was more fun, more daring and more challenging to do it skinny dipping, so that's what we did. We go out there in our shorts and just strip everything down and jump over those fences, and of course, you know, being 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, gotta admit I actually did it in my early 20s when I got back out of the service too. Always liked skinny dipping. We'd get over the fence and get into that pool and be quiet, you know, chase each other around, splash a little bit, but oh, you're making too much noise. And then about a half hour in, if we made it that far, we got rowdy, and then lost track of what was going on, and more than a few times headlights came across that, oops, let me show you, come across that field from that building. That's the old high school, old high school, but it became a police station. So we were kind of brazen because they didn't have to go far, but they would come across that field. There's an asphalt path, and with their headlights off, and they had a spotlight, of course, on the car, it'd sneak up on us, and we'd go hell-bent for leather over that fence, bare-assed, and grabbing our clothes on the way, and head back across this little bridge here, head back across the fields. We had all our hiding places all picked out, of course, because it's hard for the cops to get around this side unless they send a second cruiser onto Willett Avenue over there, which they would do. They did it a couple of times, so we had our places to hide, places to run, and I survived. I survived to talk about it. Never got caught. Never got officially caught. Let's put it that way. We got caught in the middle of stuff, but they never could corral us. And of course, the big threat was at that time, all the boys in school talked about it. If they catch you, they march you naked into the police station and basically parade you around for a couple hours before they let you go home, which God only knows. but it was enough of a enticement not to get caught, and everybody was scared shitless if we did get caught what would happen. So I guess that put a little extra fire under our feet. I remember running all the way We actually split up in 3 different directions, and by the time I got home my feet were bleeding from hitting rocks and everything. I never felt it till I got back into the neighborhood because I certainly didn't want to get caught and end up being paraded.